The 22-year-old nursing student in Georgia who was barbarically murdered by an illegal alien animal. The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. And Nancy Pelosi told me that. She said, please don't use the word animal, sir, when you're talking about these people. I said, I'll use the word animal because that's what they are. I'll never forget my vow to her.
Okay, so there he is talking about Ruby Garcia. So what he is doing here is what he and his movement have been doing for some time, which is they said, okay, we're an incredibly unpopular political movement. We need to freak people out so they'll get rid of Joe Biden. So let's talk a lot about how scary brown people are and how they're killing everyone. So we're gonna go and Google people who've been killed by migrants, and then we're gonna pretend to give a damn about the fact that they've died. And that's what he's doing here. But he goes a step further than he has in the other cases, because in his extended commentary, we can't play the video for you, unfortunately, it's local news. He talks about Ruby Garcia and he says she lit up that room. And I've heard that from so many people. I spoke to some of her family. And that is where we're gonna have to turn now to commentary from the family, because that apparently isn't true at all. Mavi Garcia says he did not speak with any of us. So it was kind of shocking seeing that he had said that he had spoke with us and misinforming people on live TV. Nobody really speaks about when Americans do heinous crimes, and it's kind of shocking why he would just bring up illegals. What about Americans who do heinous crimes like that? And that last bit is pretty amazing. I mean, bear in mind, she lost a family member to this sort of crime. And so I understand why when some people have experienced a tragedy like that, even if, before the tragedy, they might not have had certain views, it's easy to just fall into accepting this xenophobic demonizing or whatever. But Mavi Garcia isn't doing that. And so that I think is admirable.
Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube.
But that lie, man, that is wild. Like Trump didn't even, I don't even know if before that speech he knew who Ruby Garcia is. And I guarantee you that he right now doesn't know who Ruby Garcia is. But in that moment, it wasn't merely enough to use her as a weapon to win him political power before throwing her aside. He had to lie and pretend that this isn't just a thing he's interested in, he's actually central to it. Because he's gotten some credit for involving himself directly in the victims of crimes committed by migrants before. And so he wants that again, he needs that cred. But he didn't talk to them, he didn't care enough to talk about them. He didn't care enough to think maybe they'll have an issue with me saying that. And you know what, I can speculate, maybe it's because the last name is Garcia, maybe he thinks, they don't freaking matter either. So who the hell cares if I talk to them or not? It doesn't matter, I'll just say that I did. No one will listen to them. Well, thankfully in this case, they are listening to them. It was a ridiculous lie. It should bother way more people than do. And Sharon, I want your thoughts about this.
I guarantee you he has no idea any of the particulars, anything about the family. Also doesn't know the officer slain, Officer Diller in New York. Just inserted himself in people's worst moments, worst tragedies. I can't quote the Bible either, but just as I was listening, Matthew 7:15, beware false prophets. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This is what he's doing, and people better wake up. That doesn't offend Christians.
Yeah.
Using someone's murder or tragedy where a family member steps up and says, why are you talking about migrants and undocumented people? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Nobody, just keep trucking along.
And they don't like the politicization. I mean, I have no idea what Mavi Garcia or Ruby Garcia or the other members of the family, I don't know what their politics is. I don't know who they supported for president before or who they would. But they're experiencing a horrendous tragedy. And I totally respect people who are like, I don't want this being used as fodder for a political campaign. Who the hell are you to use this and then to lie about us? And by the way, as is so often the case, one lie tends to lead to others. When you pretend to have special knowledge, in this case, I talked to them, I learned about her through them, then that could lead to other lies because he has to pretend now that he knew something about Ruby Garcia. And so Matthew Gertz on Twitter pointed out that some of the direct comments that he made about Ruby Garcia appear to be cribbed by a eulogy that was written in the New York Post. He talked about contagious laughter, her lighting up rooms when she walks in. He pretends that he heard that from the family. Whoever wrote the speech just took it from the news article about her. And again, this will not disgust nearly as many people as it should, but it damn sure should. And look, in the past, look, it's not up to me. When he was using Laken Riley, her murder for his own, the family didn't really seem to mind that. They posed with a photo with him, and it's up to them. If your family member dies and you want it to be used to demonize a group or whatever, that's up to you. You've been through a terrible tragedy. I'm not going to judge you. But apparently his father, or her father in this case, didn't actually like that and says she was much better than that, the politicization of her death. And so, that's a little bit belated considering the way that it was used following the State of the Union and all that. But I like that they're at least criticizing that now, or at least the father is in this case. They're gonna be doing this, man. Every day they're Googling, like looking for a murder to pretend to care about. And it's cheap political games. We should be better than this, but unfortunately we often are not.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.